Beyerdynamic might not be the first name that comes to mind for content creation and gaming audio, but that might be about to change. Its new Pro X Creator Series aims to give high-quality audio hardware for content creators, live streamers, podcasters that provide both premium audio and all-day comfort. And we got our hands on the open-back DT900 Pro X and the M70 Pro X microphones, so let's dive in and check them out. Hey everyone, Jordan here with 9 to 5 Toys. And while this Pro X series that we have here with these headphones and this microphone aren't intended necessarily for gaming, Beyerdynamic did also just come out with some gaming headsets as well, which are getting really high marks. So if that piques your interest, check out the MMX 100 and the MMX 150. But now back to the Pro X series, which is catered towards creators. We have the DT900 Pro X, which is an open back pair of kind of more reference studio headphones. And then we also have the M70 Pro X, which is a dynamic microphone. So something that you're meant to speak very close to is going to be a little bit more directional and won't pick up an entire room. And of course, we are recording audio through the M70 Pro X, going through my Behringer Euphoria UM2, which I'll link down in the description if you want to check that out as well. And first up, let's talk about the $330 DT900 Pro X. This is the open back variant for the Pro X series, as opposed to the closed back DT700 Pro X. Beyerdynamic keeps the design pretty standard for its branding. Round ear cups with a perforated case keep things pretty nice and tidy. There is a large DT900 Pro X logo on the side of each ear cup, but it's a glossy black on the flat black finish of the ear cup, and overall it does look pretty classy. A yoke design connects the adjustable headband, which features a fair amount of leatherette-wrapped soft memory foam padding. Open-back headphones let in a fair amount of room noise when wearing the headphones, but they also lend themselves to a much wider sound and soundstage thanks to the ability for the air to move more freely in and out and around in the ear cups. But depending on your surroundings, a closed-back pair might be more ideal if you typically use the headphones in a noisy environment. Also included in the box with the DT900 Pro X are two different cables which feature a mini XLR connection, which will plug into the headphones on one end, and then it does have a 3.5 millimeter, which has a 1/4 inch adapter which will screw onto it as well for a really secure connection. So a nice variety of connecting options there. In addition to great audio, another focus on the Pro X series from Beyerdynamic was comfort. The earpads are wrapped in a soft, smooth gray velour that I'd love to see on more headphones, to be honest. It is very soft to the touch and rests nicely around my ears. The ear cups are deep enough for me for extended comfort, but the tips of my ears do make the slightest bit of contact with the driver covers on the inside. And this is something that can be fatiguing, like we saw in the Corsair Virtuoso RGB XT review, but it is only the slightest bit of contact for me and hasn't been an issue for extended use. One surprising thing here was that there is considerable clamping force, which is surprising for an open back pair of headphones. Usually you don't need that sort of, compression there for better isolation like you would with a closed back pair. But that was definitely something of note in here. But thankfully the ear pads are pretty soft, and so these were comfortable for long listening sessions. So moving on to how do they sound? Now, first off, these are more of a reference pair of headphones. So it's going to have a pretty flat profile. It's not going to be, a contoured, super fun, super high bass pair of headphones. These will render a more clear and accurate representation of the audio you have recorded. So while they may not have a huge bass, a huge low end for those who favor a really beefy low end, the clarity and soundstage are what is going to shine in here. And for most of my testing, I was also using the Behringer Euphoria UM2 to drive these headphones. And with that in mind, lows are kept under control with the DT900 Pro X. They are very tight and impactful with a lot of punch, but are in no way overpowering. There is plenty of detail and clarity to understand exactly what is going on without getting anywhere close to a muddy sound. Mids are also kept pretty level on the DT900 Pro X. One of my favorite ways to try out mids is to listen to Mist by Protest the Hero. Metal tracks like this with a tight, fast guitar track need a good pair of headphones with plenty of mid-range clarity to really shine, and Mist definitely shone on the DT900 Pro X, with plenty of clarity to pick out all the different guitar lines. And this also helps vocals to shine pretty clearly as well. Likewise, highs are kept well in control and come through crystal clear with the DT900 Pro X without ever being harsh in my experience. All in all, the Beyerdynamic DT900 Pro X headphones are a crisp pair of headphones that represent audio well with exceptional clarity and stereo imaging. And while they're not intended for gaming, these headphones also work well for it, thanks to that stereo positioning and sound clarity. They aren't laden with overpowered bass and work well to pick up tiny details on the battlefield. Since I'm typically a more casual listener and I do like a nice little bump in the low end, I do prefer the sound coming out of the Philips Fidelio X3, but it's hard to deny the clarity of the DT900 Pro X as a more reference-focused pair of headphones for mastering audio. Alright, and next let's move on to the microphone, and this is the M70 Pro X, which is a dynamic microphone. Dynamic mics can be beneficial to solo creators and those in a noisy room, as they are intended to be used very close to a subject. This is in contrast to a condenser microphone, which can work well to pick up a whole room or multiple people talking, but they can also pick up a lot of extra room noise thanks to their increased sensitivity. One of the most popular microphones for podcasting is a dynamic mic, and that's the Shure SM7B, and it's for this reason. Is very good at picking up voices. This close proximity helps to render a natural broadcast sound for your voice, but also helps to cut down on that background noise, which is usually preferred for content creators. So if your room hasn't been sound treated to knock down echoes, the dynamic nature of the M70 Pro X can help to reduce room noise, as well as added noise from like keyboards and other typing noises. Beyerdynamic does carry a condenser microphone as well in this series, the M90 Pro X, but for this video we are focusing on the dynamic counterpart. Otherwise, the M70 Pro X is very simple. Rather than using a USB connection with, selectable polar patterns and gain dials and even RGB lighting, the analog M70 Pro X has an XLR out, and that's about it. Included in the box are a robust shock mount, a pop filter, and a protective sleeve. The shock mount is a vital part of most recording setups and works well to cut out desk impacts and keeps the noise to a minimum. In my experience, the pop filter is also recommended, as I was getting some plosive pops when using the microphone without it. The protective sleeve makes transport a little bit safer when on the go. And since this is an XLR microphone, you will need to provide an XLR cable and then also a USB interface as well if you are connecting it into a computer. And I would absolutely recommend this piece that I'm using, which is the Behringer Euphoria UM2. Now, I am in no way an audio engineer, but with the XLR and instrument inputs and the direct monitor headphone out, this has done absolutely everything that I've needed it to. Another focus of Beyerdynamic is sustainability. And while that doesn't necessarily mean, a better sounding product, it does feel better to give your money to a company who is kind of focused on sustainability. So with the M70 Pro X, a lot of the pieces on here, a lot of the components are replaceable and interchangeable. So if something does need to be replaced, you can just, fix a specific part rather than trashing the whole microphone. Beyerdynamic has also focused on making the packaging environmentally friendly by using entirely recyclable paper and cardboard. At least that's what they say on their website. The pop filter did come in this little plastic protective baggie as well. So now let's transition over to a sound test so you can compare the M70 Pro X up against some other popular streaming microphones. And the ones I wanted to compare it to are the HyperX Quadcast S, which is a super popular microphone. It's a USB condenser microphone. And then another dynamic mic, the Samson Q9U. So we'll get these hooked up and we'll give you a sound test. And I'm just going to read the same excerpt across these different microphones so you can get an idea of what they sound like compared to each other. Beyerdynamic might not be the first name that comes to mind for content creators and gaming audio, but its new Pro X Creator Series aims to give high-quality audio hardware for content creators and streamers that provide both premium audio and all-day comfort. And another thing I wanted to test was to see how it sounded with a clicky keyboard in the background. So this is the Razer Black Widow V3 Pro. And we'll do this with all three of the different microphones to get an idea of how that sounds with some background noise. These dynamic microphones are supposed to be a little bit better for knocking some of that out, so we'll see how it does. All right, so now we have the Samson Q9U hooked up here. I did do a dedicated review of this microphone that I'll link up here in the corner, but this time we're using it with that XLR connection going into the Behringer. Last time I used it was with a USB connection, so it might sound just a little bit different. Beyerdynamic might not be the first name that comes to mind for content creators and gaming audio, but its new Pro X Creator Series aims to give high-quality audio hardware for content creators and streamers that provide both premium audio and all-day comfort. And here we'll do the keyboard test so you can hear how that sounds with that Razer green clicky switch in the background. Again, that is pretty clicky keyboard, and there's always software you can use to kind of try to knock that down as well. All right, and lastly, we have the HyperX Quadcast S, which I realized I had the original Quadcast sitting out, but we will be reviewing the Quadcast S, which we have a dedicated review as well, which I'll link up here in the corner. Beyerdynamic might not be the first name that comes to mind for content creation and gaming audio, but the new Pro X Creator Series aims to give high-quality audio hardware for content creators and streamers that provide both premium audio and all-day comfort. And here we do the keyboard test to see how the keyboard audio picks up on the HyperX Quadcast S. And of course, this is a clicky green switch from the Razer Black Widow V3 Pro. All right, well, hopefully that gave you a good idea of what these different microphones sound like and how they compare. And of course, all these were recorded without any effects. I probably just leveled the audio a little bit, but that would be the only tweaking that I will do to any of the audio in this review. So overall, wrapping up here, Beyerdynamic is making some big moves in the creator and gaming worlds, and I'm pretty excited about it. While I haven't been able to try out the MMX gaming headset series yet, like I said, I've been hearing really good reviews from other reviewers, so definitely check those out if you want to do something for gaming. The DT900 Pro X offers exceptional clarity for audio mixing and hearing all the details of your music or recordings. And the M70 Pro X works well to keep background noise at a minimum while delivering a natural sounding voice. And at $300 for the M70 Pro X microphone, there are definitely cheaper options out there when it comes to dynamic microphones. The Shure SM58, of course, is an industry standard. That's great for that. But you'll need to provide your own shock mount to get the same sound isolation as what we have on the M70 Pro X. All right, and that'll do it for our review of the Beyerdynamic DT900 Pro X and the M70 Pro X. Let us know what you think about them down in the comments below. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. This is Jordan with 9to5 Toys.